Today, we're going to be talking about repeated exposure or slow rot, wet rot. Hope you enjoy. When it comes to a homeowner's insurance policy, sometimes things can get confusing. One area, and what we're going to talk about today, relates to water damage. Now, at first glance, when you think about a homeowner's policy, you think about water damage, you would think, okay, well, that's a covered loss. And if we're talking about a hot water heater rupturing or a storm knocking a hole in your roof and allowing water to enter into the home, well, that's absolutely correct. Homeowner's policy will very clearly afford coverage in those areas. But where it gets confusing sometimes for clients is in an area that's called repeated exposure or wet rot, or sometimes some will call it slow rot. This is going to be a situation where maybe you've got a leak, a little pinhole leak in a water line behind your wall. So over time, as it continues to mist out a little bit of water, you end up having a situation where you've got dry rot or wet rot because of the repeated exposure, and the key being the term repeated exposure. Or think about around a toilet where the seal begins to leak, and each time you flush it, a little bit of water seeps out, and over time, you start noticing the floors are soft around the toilet. These are things that fall under that repeated exposure. And your typical homeowner's policy excludes repeated exposure claims or the wet rot claims. And this is important to understand. This is an area where you will frequently get questions in the insurance industry because this kind of stuff happens. If you think about all the different areas with showers and the areas where you have plumbing, water lines, and things like that, there's a lot of situations where this can occur. So your typical homeowners, you're thinking about something that's sudden and accidental. It's immediate. Hot water heater ruptures. Water starts spraying everywhere. No question. That's covered. But those hidden things, and they can get extremely expensive. Those hidden things are things that are going to fall under that repeated exposure. So, if you think about it, it makes sense because if you had a window that's not properly caulked and over time, each time it rains, a little bit of water, seeps in, and you got wooden windows, they're going to start rotting over time. And typically people don't even think about, well, I wonder if the insurance company would cover that. And of course they wouldn't. Now, the thing to consider is there are some carriers, there are not a lot, but there are some carriers that offer endorsements for what they may call it a wet rot endorsement. That's probably the most frequent thing. And occasionally we'll see a carrier that actually does have that coverage built in. But you need to ask the questions because you don't want to find out if that is something that you're concerned about. It is something that you would want covered. You don't want to find out come claim time whether that's a covered loss. So if you have questions about this or anything else related to home, auto, commercial insurance, feel free to give Terry or myself a call here at Westside Advisors and Insurance Services. Hope you have a great week.